Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to the town of Penryn. We have a train leaving in that direction for Falmouth and leaving in that direction simultaneously to the city of Truro. It's an unusual layout here. It was widened with a passing loop around 2008, something like that, to enable 30-minute running of trains on the branch here because of the university and it all getting busier. The original platform though is over there. They didn't reopen that one because it would have meant they would have needed to put in an overbridge, a footbridge here with the associated lifts and all of that. So it's all on the same side. That way you have to walk down to Truro direction, this way to Falmouth. But it's a quite clever arrangement. I've not seen it anywhere else. Anyway, what I'm doing today is a short bite photography series video looking at the town here of Penryn, which is just a couple of miles outside of the larger town of Falmouth. I haven't been here for a number of years and I haven't done much research for it either, so there won't be much talking from me today. It's mainly going to be photographs, but I'll put up some subtitles and a little bit of information when I do the edit to give you a little bit more information about this town here. Now in the 80s I do remember coming here. It was a little bit run down and impoverished, and I think these days, because of Penryn campus nearby, it's given this smaller town here a new lease of life. So let's have a look around the town of Penryn here in the county of Cornwall. Oh, this looks photogenic this time of year with the leaves changing colour and leaves falling on the ground. I like that. See if we can get a shot of that there with the finger post. That's the telephone exchange there, one of the nicer examples I must admit. Now this town here is quite a traditional Cornish town. It doesn't have such wide streets or prominent large buildings like Falmouth does, where I was earlier making a longer video here on my Cornwall series on West Country Wanderings. But these are more like you'd see in the towns of Helston, Camborne and Riverside, which are only a few miles away. Now if you've been following the channel for a while, you know I like putting out the little finer details. A couple of things here. Chute Lane, I don't know the origins of that, but it basically goes down really steeply down there. But you'll also see underneath it's got the Cornish name, or Cornish version of it, Bound Bible, or Babel. And next to that, to the right of the sign, you'll notice a marker point, triangulation point there for Ordnance Survey, a datum marker, that line there. That's good to see that. Obviously, no longer used these days. I love the colour on those cottages there with the contrast between the olive green, the red and the blue. Very photogenic. Down the bottom there we can see the Carrick roads because we're fairly high up now, which is basically the rear, the estuary of the River Fal, where of course Falmouth takes its name from, grew up around the docks, but also there was an influence with the town here as well, having its own little harbour, as we'll probably see later. Interesting road split in the way here. So we've got a road coming in on the left and a road going up, which is the Helston Road, literally called Helston Road, on my right hand side. I'd also like to thank fellow YouTuber Roy Edwards for today's video, because I saw Roy's video looking at Penryn. I'll link to Roy's video at the end of this one. He had a break in Cornwall for a few days, about a month ago I think now, and he came here to Penryn and I thought, that looks like an interesting place to do a shorter video. It's the Wesley Chapel here from 1866, which is now Wesley Court. Got a very pleasing set back chapel there from the buildings that surround it on the street. Sadly a bit of traffic noise, but also seagulls as well. Apologies for that. We've got Truro Lane there, where that lady's just going past there. Obviously traffic going on at the moment. Chandler's the accountants. We'll make our way further on down the high street. Truro Lane actually goes down quite steeply there on the left. Love the autumnal window display there in the opticians of Histeds and Roberts. Now in Lower Market Street. Curious little alcove above those two cottages there. I wonder if there was like a statue or something in the alcove at any time in the past. Do have a pub here, also got accommodation, which is the 7 Stars. It also has an on-site micro brewery as well, hidden brewery, presumably that's at the back of the premises. Good to see that they still have a post office here in Penryn next to the Choi Hung Chinese takeaway. Now the split in the street continues here with traffic going up, carrying on into Helston Street on the right hand side, and traffic going down on a lower gradient on the left hand side. This here is the very large Penryn Methodist Church, which is now also an art studio, open studio, so I don't think it's used for services, church services though. Very impressive building. Now, I'd actually thought I'd lost an hour there because it's saying it's 25 past 3. It's actually just coming up to 2:30, so it's running nearly an hour past. So this is the clock tower which dominates the centre of the town here in Penryn. Very, very impressive structure that is. You can see it from the railway viaduct as you go between Truro and Falmouth on the promontory of land that Penryn sits on, and next to it is the Teetotal Hall from 1852. So at the other end of the clock tower, which is there, is this, which is Penryn Museum. Looks like it is open, but I probably won't have time to go around it today, but it's worth noting, and if you have time to go around it, why not pop in there and have a look. I was ashamed about cars in images like this, but unfortunately I can't remove them. It is like that, so yeah. You probably could get rid of it using AI, but I'm not going down that road because this is exactly what it looks like. It's building just off the square. I think it makes a really nice photo. It's called the Old Mill House. You can imagine that as it's closer to the river. Would have been a mill down there, but that's just lovely. Gorgeous colours here with the autumn as well. Now, if you come into the Penryn Memorial Garden, you do actually get a better perspective of the square there, particularly with the leaves at this time of year, because well, you can hardly see the cars from this angle with the trees there. It makes it look really photogenic. I love that. The reason that this memorial garden is here is, and it's something which don't tend to associate with Cornwall so much as places like Plymouth and Coventry. Yes, I'm talking about the Second World War bombing. 18th of May 1941, there was a bombing raid here over Penryn, and sadly 18 lives, I believe, were sadly lost during that. There was also bombing over Falmouth, because it did attract more there because of the port and the naval presence. Now this here on the busy road between Falmouth and Redruth, there is a bypass around it as well, but cars also use this. This was the main road in before the bypass was built. I remember coming this before. That was built in the probably 1990s. And this is Jubilee Wharf, and I think this was built around about 1999 perhaps. Now this would tend to back up what I was saying about 1999, but this is an interesting plan there. I'm not going to attempt to read it in Cornish, but it says this commemorates the loss of Glasney College. Now I'm not sure about Glasney College, not sure if I've heard of that before, and the death of thousands of Cornish patriots, sorry about the traffic noise, in defence of their faith, language and Celtic customs. 1549, 1999, Colonel Arter. I'm not sure what that is about Glasney College. I will need to put some more information, get something in on that, and I'll put it scrolling along the screen now, because I've not come across Glasney College before. Of course, Cornish customs and indeed the Cornish language has always been pushed out by the English moving into Cornwall and driving out, and that obviously is something which is still controversial and still happens these days, obviously, with tourism and people from up country moving into the county of Cornwall and driving those customs away. In fact, it's quite rare these days to hear a Cornish accent at all. Excuse the traffic noise, apologies for that. I'm standing on Penryn Bridge with the traffic behind me, but this is the Penryn River here, and you can see these are wharf houses and mills in this area, and this is where Penryn essentially grew up initially. Obviously rivaled by the bigger Falmouth just down the road, but this is the hub of Penryn, and it kind of states its purpose. Again, like we've seen elsewhere, the pontoon here now given over to the leisure industry, and the wharfside houses are now, of course, all apartments. Another little interesting corner of the town of Penryn here. We've got an original water pump. Not sure that it works, but that's wonderful. Often they've been damaged over the years. I can't make out the writing. It looks like underneath it says Helston. Presumably that's where it was made. Not far from here, but there's some writing on top of it, which presumably was the manufacturer. That's just fantastic to see that, isn't it? Love the shape of the handle. Now, this is a really old corner here of Penryn. Got a building there called Pickett's Yard, dated 1625. Well, here we are back at Penryn Station. I'm about to board a train, take me back to Truro, and back to retrieve my accommodation for this evening. May do another video tomorrow before I catch up with my daughter again and then head back to Gloucestershire. Hope you enjoyed this Cornwall series, photography series, short bite here in the town of Penryn. I haven't been here for a long time. Very, very friendly town. Obviously it's not as affluent, or indeed it doesn't get as many visitors as the town of Falmouth, but it's interesting in its own right. It has a lot of creative industries and there is an artistic hub to it. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves. Hope to see you on the channel again very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Bye bye.